I asked you what is the big surprise, or not a surprise, but just a terrible worry that could shake up everything, cause an earthquake. And Ruchir came up with this. The big time bomb, still ticking, is China's debt. And of course, Ruchir has been talking about this for some time, but look at these figures that he's come up with, which are even more shocking. In 2007, China used to get $1 in GDP growth with $1 in debt. Now that changed. In 2011, you need $2 of debt to still get that $1 in GDP growth. And what is it now? $4.50 of debt to get just one GDP growth. Now that shows frightening lack of returns to debt and a kind of debt bubble.
Yeah, because let me put these numbers in perspective. At the peak of the US housing bubble, which we know was caused by a lot of debt in 2007,
right,
it took $3 of debt to get $1 of GDP growth in the United States.
And after that, the crash happened.
Yeah, yes, like it happened. And in China's case, though, I mean, they've reached new limits in terms, and because the entire debt is owned internally and by the government has such large control over it, they're able to play passing the parcel and keep this game going. But this is really sort of worrisome, that how can an economy keep growing by taking on so much debt? That China's debt today as a share of its economy is comparable to that of the United States, even though the United States is a much richer economy. So I think that this is a real concern.
You've got a graph on China compared to the United States. There's just, as Ruchir puts it, too much money sloshing around in China. You find, in fact, up to 2005, 2007, there were about the same amount of money in circulation in both China and in America. But now, look at that green line, it's gone up. China, which is half the size, or 60% the size of the US economy, has 75% more money sloshing around. That is a big worry.
Yeah, they've really become a furiously printing liquidity machine, which is there's so much money that they're printing to keep the economy chugging along. And that's what's also causing a lot of...
printed some for us for demonetization.
No, but that's what they do, like, so much capital outflows from China, and why the Chinese currency is under pressure, because they're printing so much money that there's a wall of money waiting to leave China. And this is one of the big trend reversals we have seen, that in China they're basically imposing capital controls everywhere to try and prevent this from happening. So there was so much talk about how the Chinese currency may become a reserve currency, become much more internationalized. Instead, they're going the other way. They're imposing more and more capital controls to prevent this money from leaving China, because they're printing just so much money. So I think that's what really concerns me about China.
Extremely worrying.
Yeah, that how will they keep printing so much money?
If the bubble bursts, it will cause an earthquake around the world.
Yeah, so that's something which I've been concerned about. Last year too, we mentioned that if and when we have a global recession, I think that this time the origin of that is not likely to be the West, which already caused the problems in 2007, 2008. It's going to be likely East, which is China.